Hey gang, DVD collector back with the grumps. Second week of the videos. I don't know if anybody's going to do this or not. I haven't really got any messages back, but if they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. Second topic, second week. So this topic, I know it's not Halloween yet, but we're getting ready to go into spooky season, and thought we'd start this off with what is your favorite decade of horror? And then I'm going to follow it up with a list. I kind of like that idea, like a topic and a list in every video. That's kind of a good format. They're easy to do. So for me, there are hit and misses in modern horror. The Conjuring, I think, has done some good things like that, but I really don't think I've truly enjoyed horror anything after the late 80s. My favorite personal decade of horror is the 30s. I'm a big Universal Monster fan. I'm a big Universal fan in general. I like everything like that. I love the 30s, 40s, 50s, and even in the 60s the most. The 70s are a great time period for horror, and the 80s are, super slasher heavy, and I enjoy that. But I think I have to go, and I'm not even going to like a couple decades. The 30s and 40s for me are the most. When I want to watch horror, I always go back to that stuff. I always go, back to Boris Karloff. He's one of my absolute favorites. Frankenstein being one of my absolute favorite movies of all time, and a perfect 10 in my book. And I've always enjoyed that time period. Everything Universal did, from the Universal Monsters and up, and even when you get into the 60s with Hammer film and stuff like that, that's from the 30s to the 60s is my group. I still enjoy some stuff today. There's been hit or misses, like I said, mostly misses. But as a horror fan, you'll watch 10 horror movies before you find one that's like really good. A lot of it's just gore to be gory, which is fine if that's what you're looking for that day. And I sometimes look for that. Nowadays I watch a lot of possession horror movies, The Exorcist being one of my absolute favorite movies of all time. So, but I always go back. I always end up with Universal. I always end up with the black and white and just the ambience and that part of horror. That's just what I've always enjoyed. So on to the list. I thought we'd do top 10 favorite horror movies of all time. And this is a hard list to make. I think I did it some justice. Now, me saying that my favorite time in horror is 30s to 60s doesn't reflect well on this list. It kind of does, but there are a lot of things that I do enjoy throughout the decades, and that this list is that. So anyway, top 10 favorite horror movies of all time. We have number 1, of course, The Exorcist. Absolutely love that film. I just watched it in 4K. Was not like super impressed or anything. I don't know what I'm expecting from this 4K time period. Maybe I expected it to just blow my frickin' mind. I don't know. It just doesn't. Of course, the generic is the blacks are blacker. The sounds are good. It's deeper. It is more detailed in certain things, but The Exorcist, I think, kind of fell short. And the fact that the 4K didn't come with Blu-ray just boggles my mind. And the theatrical and the director's cut are on two separate discs, and I didn't buy the big box set or the big special edition. I just bought the standard edition, and that's fine with me. And if somebody picks it up later on, like Kino or Criterion, I'll buy it again. But just kind of missed it. It just didn't. It's still good. It's still a good movie, but it didn't bring anything new to the table. Next on the list, Frankenstein, of course, a 10 out of 10 movie. Just one of the most, one of the most beautiful movies ever made, in my opinion. But in the number 2 slot, now these aren't particularly in any order. The Exorcist and Frankenstein 1 and 2, that's it. But sharing the number 2 slot, and to cheat a little bit on the list, I throw in the rest of the Universal Monster movies, kind of in order. Bride of Frankenstein being just almost as close as Frankenstein. Dracula, the Creature, the Mummy, the Wolfman, the Invisible Man. And there are others, but those are my main ones that I love to go back and watch. And the sequel, I love all of the sequels that belong in this family. But yeah, number 2, Frankenstein. Black Sunday, number 3, Barbara Steele. There are so many movies I could have put of hers on here, but if I'm being honest, the top 10 list is a top 10 list, and her movies are very, very near and dear to my heart. But as far as like a list, I'm going to put her number 1 on there, and it's Black Sunday. Mike, who is also on the channel here, introduced me to Barbara. Well, didn't introduce me to Barbara, but introduced me to an appreciation of Barbara. I've watched her movies for years, but just hearing him talk about her and the love he and I share with her was amazing. So I'm glad that I found this. Black Sunday. Next, Texas Chainsaw Massacre will always be, top 10, top 5 even in my lists. I absolutely love that movie. The Friday the 13th franchise, I can't really say franchise, probably up to part 4, are very, very good to me. Number 1 and 2 being my favorite probably. But just solid, all right, get out of here. Being solid horror movies. Let's see. Okay, here we are. I can't read my own handwriting. Next on the list, I don't even know what number we're at. Doesn't even matter. Is Carrie from 1976. Sissy Spacek is my favorite actress of all time. I own everything she's ever done that you can get your hands on disc. And Carrie is where it all started for me. And actually, probably Coal Miner's Daughter, if I take that back. But Carrie will always be near and dear to me. Night of the Living Dead. George Romero, the grandfather of all zombies, and just an utterly amazing, beautiful movie. I can't have a top 10 list without Hitchcock on there somewhere, in Psycho. There are so many movies that just don't quite fit the horror genre to me, more of a thriller, but Psycho definitely fits the horror, and beautiful. If you don't have this on 4K, they did do an amazing job with this one. It does. Like, okay, this is really good. We have The Haunting, which is probably the best ghost movie of all time. I believe 1960. I did find this one through Mike, as I found a lot of things through Mike, movie-wise. And still to this day, I watch it every year religiously, and I just, it's spooky. It's got everything you want in a good horror ghost movie. And then to fill a spot for a monster movie other than Universal, of course, is Pumpkinhead. I have been in love with. I've owned this movie on every format that you can imagine. I love this movie. I'm looking forward to the 4K coming out next month. And just the monster. I love monster movies. Monster movies are probably my favorite horror genre, even though I watch a lot of religious horror nowadays. But the monsters always bring me back, and Pumpkinhead's one of the best. And I know this is a top 10 list, but I can't leave one very special movie off. It should be in the number 1 spot, but I don't really put it as true horror as much as more sci-fi. But it is a monster movie, and you know what I'm going to talk about, and it is Alien, the haunted house and space movie. It is beautiful. I can't leave the list. I don't care if it is a top 10 list. It's going to be on there. It should be number 1, and if I sit down and thought more about it, I don't think that I could take anything off this list. Maybe Friday the 13th would be the one that drops. But, yeah, Alien. It still, to this day, holds up. I don't care that it's slow. I don't care that it's whatever. It's still one of the best monster movies ever made. It is definitely my favorite sci-fi movie ever made. It's kind of sharing a slot with Aliens, the second movie, but overall, beautiful. So, going to kick this Halloween season off. Maybe we'll have more spooky topics. Actually, we probably should. The rest of you guys, get on the ball, get your fucking cameras out, and start filming. That's what we made the channel for. So, until next time, guys, keep it spooky. Later.